Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Welcome, everybody. A very warm welcome to you all to the Lama Live live stream event of Lama Sultrim Alione. My name is Drimé, and it's my pleasure to support you here. It's always so lovely to connect with you all, so please say hello in the chat so that we can know who is out there and from where you are joining us today. I'm truly delighted to share that we have a guest teacher on Lama Live this Sunday, and it's Tara Mandala authorized teacher Karla Jackson-Brewer. Karla has been practicing Chöd for over 3 decades, and Chöd is a unique blend of the Tibetan shamanic traditions and the Buddhist tradition of compassion and emptiness. Karla has co-taught Chöd since 2013 with Lama Sultrim and Lopon Chandra Easton. She has also taught and led Chöd practices for the New York City Taramandala Sangha, which she leads. In October 2012, she received the Chö empowerment from His Holiness, the 17th Karmapa, Orgyen Trinley Dorje. She leads a monthly meditation practice for the Taramandala BIPOC Meditation Sangha. Karla is a founder of Sinek Fanon, Allies in Healing, an integrative therapy practice in New York City. She is an adjunct professor in the Women's and Gender Studies Department and the Africana Studies Department at Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. Karla is an initiated priest in the West African system of Ifa. If you have questions for Karla, you are welcome to submit them in the chat at any time during this live session. At the end of our gathering, you will have the opportunity to make an offering of Dana to Karla in gratitude for our time together today, and I will talk more about it closer to the end of our event. Before I turn it over to Karla, I would like to share with you a few upcoming programs being held by Taramandala. In celebration of the winter solstice, we will take the opportunity to not only turn inward, but also outward towards the many forms of life with whom we share this planet. Join us for the Nurturing the Unseen, Buddhism and the More Than Human World virtual retreat from December 16th to 18th, where Eric Jampa Anderson will guide us through the vast and fascinating web of the more than human world, with focus on the teachings from Machik Labdran and Yuto Kyonten Gonpo. This retreat is open to everyone, and it's a truly highly special opportunity that shouldn't be missed. So I'll be posting the link in the chat shortly. And this retreat will also be a great preparation for the very last program of the year, so the online winter solstice ceremony with Lama Sultrim Alione on December 21st. Lama invites you to celebrate the return of the light with a deep meditation attuning to the turning of the season, letting go of the old year and welcoming the new cycle in which we will release what we are letting go of from the past year, while also setting intentions for the next solar cycle. All are welcome, but you need to register in order to participate in this extra special event. And lastly, I want to tell you about an online program to be held by our guest teacher today that will take place over the course of 2 weekends, from February 3rd to 12th in 2023, of course. In this retreat, you will have the opportunity to learn the Chöd practice and melodies as transmitted and taught by Chogyal Namkha Norbu Rinpoche, and learn about the life and teachings of the great yogini Maciej Labdron, who established the Ch practice. Also, all are welcome. And now it's my very great pleasure to hand over to Karla Jackson-Brewer. Thank you, Karla.
Wow, thank you so much, Drimé. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. I would like to begin by raising Bodhicitta. So you can either have your hands of prayer or in the one-pointed mudra with middle fingers up and rest of your fingers folded down. Some of you already know this. And let's just all drop into our hearts, focusing on our breath, maybe slowing our breath a little bit. And as we focus on our heart, which is really a space of our awakened mind, feel free to perhaps first invite anyone who you know personally, who might be suffering, having a hard time, struggling. We can extend that to all of those others that we may not know personally, who may be struggling. Let's invite them into our session today, into our practice. And now raising a heartfelt motivation for this session, for this practice, that each and every sentient being without exception will have relief from their suffering, will have happiness and the causes of happiness, and our time together today will be beneficial to ourselves and to all beings everywhere. Oh, thank you. I'd also like to, in my tradition, call in all of my ancestors. Feel free to call in yours to be present with you today. Our energy of our ancestors is what actually allows us to be here, to have the opportunity to listen to teachings, to practice. And I just connect and honor mine. So now that the space is really very crowded, today I'm going to talk about moving through the mandala. So many of you may know mandalas, may be doing mandala practices. I like to think of the mandala as this dynamic, active space, even as it also is a container for transformation, for change, for shifting, for the recognition of wisdom. And so just really being able to work with the mandala, to move through the mandala, and to have it really be beneficial, particularly in our relative realm existence. This time of year can be very, very difficult for many people. It's very emotionally charged. For some, it's filled with lots of joy and celebration and fun. For others, it's filled with anticipation, sometimes sadness, tension, difficulty. And so it's helpful for us to see how our practices, how Buddhism in general, and how our specific meditation practices can be of such a help to support us in navigating through the multiple emotions that might be arising at this time. Our practices can also help us and be supportive of us, maybe so that we don't get stuck in some of these emotions, that we don't get all tied up, or that we don't get lost in perhaps moments of heaviness of our hearts. And again, we are also living in very, very tumultuous and painful times. There's so much suffering that we may be witnessing. And sometimes for me, what comes up is, well, what can I do about this? How can I make a difference? And one of the ways that I know that I make a difference, certainly through actions, but also through my practice. On a personal level, practicing and particularly working with the mandala practices, they can really help us establish a sense of balance, a sense of peace, a sense of equanimity, a sense of relief when things arise. And emotions, problems, obstacles are always going to be arising. So it's really useful to have some tools, skillful means that help us to connect to and truly manifest our compassion. I'm going to just talk a little bit, a review, so to speak, of mandala, Dakinis, and the 5 family principles. And then we're going to do a brief meditation moving through the 5 families. Mandala, as many of you know, is a Sanskrit word that means roughly circle, society, group, association, things that are centered around something. Manda, supreme or best. La, the mark of completion, the place that contains or holds the ultimate essence. In Tibetan, the word is kilkor. Kil, center, true essence. Core, circumference. What goes around the center? This essence contains bliss of samsara and nirvana in its entirety. So even here in this description, we see this concept, this idea of the circumference of the mandala, what goes in the center, what goes around the center. This movement, basically, a mandala is a circle with a center and 4 quadrants. We can actually enter the mandala through or near any one of the quadrants. So you might think about the quadrants almost as having doorways, and some mandalas are constructed in such a way that you see the circle, the center, and each of the quadrants, you can see what will look like a door, an entryway, and or an exit. We have the opportunity to move through each one of these quadrants as we work with the encumbered emotions that are associated with each one, and a practice that helps us to experience the wisdom. Many deities, many deity practices happen within a mandala. A mandala is a palace for a deity. But for today, we're going to work with the divine enlightened feminine, the Dakinis. And Dakinis are enlightened aspects of the feminine. They can represent an enlightened nature of mind for yogis and yoginis. Really, although Dakinis manifest in the feminine form, they are beyond gender. What appears as female, absolute wisdom, and it chooses to manifest in that expression. However, what we know in the ultimate realm, there is no gender. But you could think of this as a particular kind of gel, so to speak, of a light coming through that gives a particular color or gives a particular expression. And we can name that expression, male, female. We can have certain characteristics, but we don't have to get caught up in that. We don't have to get tied down by that. So really thinking we're working with wisdom energy, with dynamic wisdom energy. The word for Dakini in Tibetan is kondro, sky goer. So these very dynamic energies that actually do move things, move energy, sometimes even impact our own lives. Lama refers to Dakinis as midwives to our psyche, midwives to our enlightenment. So this divine expression of the feminine wisdom energy operating within this center, this form of the mandala, and giving us an opportunity to move through or work with what's often referred to as the 5 families. One of the primary ways of working with the manifestation of wisdom beings, or Dakinis in this case, is through the wisdom energies that express themselves through the 5 colors. And these 5 colors are the subtle, luminous form of the 5 elements. The 5 elements: space, water, earth, fire, and air. Many things in our universe are comprised of these elements. And more specifically, we are comprised of these 5 elements. And actually, the 5 subtle colored lights illuminate our being. Maybe it's that we just can't see them all the time. If we believe or work with the tantric understanding of the nature of the universe, and everything in the universe is luminous, and that luminosity flows through everything. We are luminous beings, which is sometimes hard to hold and remember in this everyday life that can often feel like it's grinding us down. And that things are so concrete and so real, when in fact, we are light, we are energy. The 5 lights of these 5 elements: white, blue, yellow, red, and green. We can even think of these 5 families divided, these 5 aspects of expression or consciousness. And each one of these families represents the transformation of a gross passion or neurosis, like an obstructed emotion, things that block us, and wisdom. And in mandala practices, we have an opportunity to use sound and visualization to actually move and transform these encumbered emotions and experience moments of the wisdom. And even though we use the word transform, we're actually maybe creating an environment or a moment or a space for these encumbered, these complicated emotions to actually just really liberate themselves into their wisdoms, because they're connected, they're related. So in mandala practices, we are working with both, and really in a very equanimous way. We're removing the judgment of one's good, one's bad, even though we might describe the emotions as encumbered, and the wisdom's as wisdom. When we think about the elements, I'm going to go back to the elements for a moment. It's useful to understand the dynamic qualities of all of the elements, right? So if we think about water, the dynamic quality of water, that surging force of water, right? If we think about fire, the incendiary, hungry energy of fire. When we think about the element of air, the all-pervasive turbulence of air. When we think about earth, the enduring ruggedness of earth, sometimes even the shifting of earth. And thinking about space, the fundamental fecundity of space, potentiality. And so working with the elements, working with the 5 lights, we have a way of transforming, moving those encumbered emotions that are associated with each family into their wisdom. If we think about the encumbered emotional expression of each family. So in the mandala, typically, the center of the mandala would be the space of what's called the Buddha family. The association of the color there is white, and the encumbered emotion can be ignorance, delusion, spaciness. The wisdom, spaciousness, all-encompassing wisdom, being able to just hold, be that space. The next family, the Vajra family, the color is dark blue. The element is water. And the encumbered emotion is anger or aversion, which when transformed is the expression of what's referred to as mirror-like wisdom. The kind of wisdom that is not changed by whatever may pass before it. Sometimes it's helpful to think of this as like crystal clear clarity. Those moments when you know what you know, that you know it. If we think of the next family, the Ratna family, the element associated with Ratna is earth. The color is yellow, that deep sort of, I like to think of it as like a honey-colored yellow light. The encumbered emotion is often traditionally pride, but really what we're looking at here is not enough, not good enough, not worthy enough. That kind of emptiness that many of us manifest in or experience, in our lives. And that transforms into the wisdom of equanimity. It's all enough. There is enough. If we move around the mandala to the Padma family, the association, the color is red, the element is fire. The encumbered emotion is sometimes called passion, but even craving, I think, gets at it more. Have to have that kind of craving, pulling something to you. The wisdom is discernment. No craving, no pulling. If we move it further around that mandala, we hit the karma family. The color green, sometimes described emerald green, dark green. The element is air. And the encumbered emotion is envy. But the kind of, sometimes it manifests as competition. envy, competition, workaholic energy. The wisdom is all accomplishing wisdom. Though sometimes Lama calls it already accomplished wisdom. The tension around doing is released. So these 5 families actually give us a very powerful technology to be able to work with the emotions that arise in our lives, to transform them, to not be so hampered by them. And it's not that we are getting rid of our emotions, because the emotions will always arise. We have a process, we have a practice that allows us to shift the emotion, to not be bound up by it, and to feel a little bit of liberation, to feel a little bit of freedom. How do we work with mandalas? Well, definitely we'll work with mandalas in formal practice. So at Tara Mandala, we have the Wisdom of the 5 Dakini practice. We have the Buddha Mandala practice. We have a Yabya Mandala practice. We have a Tara practice. There are many other deity practices that work within the mandala framework, structure, process. But there are also ways to work with layering on the frame of mandala work, the 5 families, the encumbered emotions, and the wisdoms, by doing the kind of very, very essential practice that maybe works a little more directly with our own emotions and gives us a way to transform those emotions on a very energetic level, using sound and color. So I want to be able to give you a sense to be able to feel how this could work. And again, I would encourage everyone to participate in the offerings at Tara Mandala of the mandala practice, the Dakini practice, Buddha's Yabyum. I think that, they are so beautiful and so powerful. And we can experience the fruit of that practice in our relative realm life. And of course, maybe doing those practices, some of us might actually achieve enlightenment. But we're going to just work with the sound. So we're going to work with the syllables associated with the divine feminine in the 5 families, the Dakinis, and the colors. So I want everyone to take a moment, and we're going to start with the Buddha family. The encumbered emotion of the Buddha family is a kind of depression, spaciness, withdrawal, dullness. And maybe you can just take a moment and think about, has there been a moment in your life when you've experienced that emotion? And just recall. Maybe when you didn't respond as quickly as you might have spaced out for a moment. Just hold that. So hopefully you've identified some way that the encumbered emotions within the Buddha family arise specifically for you. And so now we're going to we're going to open the practice session. And so just holding that to the side, I want you to close your eyes. And I want to take some nice deep breaths. And for about 3 breaths, breathe into any physical tension you might be holding in your body. Hook that tension with the in-breath and release it with the out-breath. Next, focus on any emotional tension you might be holding in your body. Notice where you hold that. Hook that with the in-breath. Release it with the out-breath. For about 3 more breaths, breathe into any mental tension, ideas, beliefs, thoughts. Notice where you hold those in your body. Hook them with the in-breath, release them with the out-breath. And now we're going to imagine ourselves sitting just in the center of a mandala, a beautiful circle. The circle that surrounds us creates a barrier between the relative world and this space that we're creating for transformation. Continuing to breathe easily. And what we're going to do is we're going to sound the syllable BAM, B-A-M. And you're going to sound it over and over again, like a running chant. And as you sound it, you're going to imagine that your body is being flooded with this beautiful white, pearlescent light. And as your body is flooded with that light, you begin to transform into a luminous being. So you'll be sounding this each syllable BAM. It's like a shower of white light. And before we start, think about how that encumbered emotion occurs for you. Maybe you notice where you hold that spaciness, depression, spaced out energy in your body. Notice where you're holding it and see if you can really feel it. And all we're going to do is repeatedly sound BAM, BAM, BAM. Keep imagining that the light is flowing through your body as you continue to sound this syllable. And as the light showers your body and the sound resonates in your chest, things might feel a little more open, a little more grounded. Ba. Ba. And now imagine that as you sound this seed syllable, your body is full of light and you are transforming into this energetic, dynamic, female, feminine wisdom, a Dakini. This wisdom being keeps sounding ba, ba, ba. And now let your sounding drift off, really imagining or sensing that you are this luminous being of white light. The wisdom, you are the wisdom of spaciousness, the wisdom of Dharma Dhatu. And now imagine that you just move forward a little bit, sitting down in the quadrant in front of the center. This is the quadrant of the Vajra family. The encumbered emotion here is anger, aversion. The wisdom is mirror-like wisdom, kind of crystal clarity. And just recall a moment in your life when you experienced anger, when you were critical, when you were irritable, when you were peeved, annoyed, maybe you felt prickly, maybe everybody was getting on your nerves. Just really feel how that Vajra encumbered energy arises in your life. And maybe notice where you might hold that energy in your body. And now we're going to work with the seed syllable Ha, H-A, sounding it over and over and flooding our bodies with beautiful, beautiful sapphire light, brilliant luminosity that begins to fill every cell of our body as we sound over and over, allowing that encumbered emotion to become the wisdom of all accomplishing wisdom. Feel your body filling with blue light as you repeatedly sound the syllable. Feel the syllable reverberating in your chest, throughout your body, as it dissolves, that edginess, that anger, but focus more on the color. Feel the color in your body, that beautiful dark blue. As you allow the sounding of the seed syllable to taper off, you feel yourself fully transformed into the blue Vajra Dakini, a beautiful blue luminous being you are. You are mirror-like wisdom. And now the magic of the mandala spins, and you find yourself sitting in the quadrant of the Ratna family. Here, we work with the encumbered emotion of pride, of emptiness, not worthy enough, not enough. Notice where that and how that might arise in your life. Kind of greed, wanting more, needing more, holding on to things because without them, there's nothing. And notice where this energy rests or resides in your body. And here we work with the color yellow, beautiful deep gold and amber yellow. And the syllable re, R-I. And so we'll start to sound the syllable again, holding the encumbered emotion and allowing it to lessen, to relax into the wisdom of equanimity. As you sound the syllable, feel your body being flooded with beautiful golden light. And as it enters your body and flirts around your body, you begin to transform into a luminous being. as the sounding of the seed syllable begins to taper off, really experience yourself as a beautiful golden yellow Ratna Dakini. You are the wisdom of equanimity. And now the mandala spins again, and you find yourself sitting in the Padma family sector. Padma energy is associated with craving in its encumbered form and with discernment in its wisdom. The color here is red, ruby red, garnet red. And the syllable will sound is ni and I. So again, think of a moment in time where you were feeling very grasping, craving, chasing after something. Maybe even a little bit obsessive. And when you feel how that Padma encumbered energy arises specifically for you, start sounding the seed syllable. Notice where you hold that energy in your body. And we'll just repeatedly sound ni and I. Ni, ni, Feel yourself, your body transforming into beautiful garnet light as you continue to sound the seed syllable. And as your sounding tapers off, feel yourself manifested as a luminous red light being. You are the wisdom of discernment. And now the mandala moves again, and you find yourself sitting in the quadrant of the karma family. The color here is green, emerald green, forest green. Think of how the encumbered emotions of the karma family, envy, competition, doing, workaholic energy. Think specifically how that arises for you in your life. And then notice where you hold that in your body. And we'll sound the seed syllable sa, S-A. repeatedly as you flood your body with beautiful luminous green light. Sa, sa, sa. Feel or imagine the green light flowing through your body, transforming you into a light being. Sa, sa, and as you're sounding, the seed syllable begins to taper off. You arise as a beautiful, luminous, green wisdom being. You are the wisdom of all, accomplishing wisdom. It's already accomplished. And right now, as you rest, know, trust that you can access this wisdom anytime through formal practice, through this practice of sound and light visualization, to work very directly on your own encumbered expressions and emotions, transforming them into the wisdom expressions that are always present. And now begin to feel yourself back grounded into your body, returning to this three-dimensional space and reality. You can stretch or roll your shoulders, circle your ankles if you're able, and just really feel yourself connected and grounded and present. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes if you haven't already. Then let's all take a moment to dedicate the merit, really holding that if any merit was gained through this meditation, may it swiftly bring all beings to the recognition of their true nature, all beings without one exception. Emaho. Thank you so much for spending time and practicing with me. I hope that this has been beneficial and helpful. Drimé, are there any questions or?
No, there are no questions. I think everybody was just in the practice so deeply. So thank you so much, Karla.
Well, that's great. That's great. I wanted to make sure that we had enough time for the practice. Yeah. And again, you can actually do this practice even in little segments. In a moment, if there's an emotion that comes up and you need to move it, I've used this practice. The sounding and the color, particularly if I've, let's say, had an upsetting conversation with someone that was very emotionally charged, and I have to go to work or I have to teach my class. I'll take a minute or 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. And I've done this in my car. Sound the seat syllable, really flood my body with the color and checking in. So I might do it like once for maybe a minute, check in and see, well, how much of that emotion am I really still feeling? And then do it again. And it has actually helped to shift, to transform, to, if nothing else, to just create a little, like a break, not even a break, it's like a release of the tension. And so I was able to be more present in my next moments. So hopefully this will help you as we get to the end of the year, coming into the new year, and help us all to be compassionate with ourselves, with others also, but with ourselves. If we can take one moment to interrupt any negative self-talk that we have, do that. Allow yourself to do that. Be sweeter to you, because then it does go out into the world. So I think actually we are almost at the end of our time. Yes.
Thank you so
Drimé,
much.
come back.
I'm here. I'm here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
You,
you. Thank you.
you
And thank you,
always
everyone.
Thank you. You always speak to the heart, Karla, and your wisdom is so clear. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for all that you do. Thank you. And may we all feel we open through receiving these teachings and learn to transform what's an obstacle. Thank you, dear community, for connecting today, either live or later through the recording. And a warm reminder, you can join our new Mandala community network, where we connect to share our practice experience in more intimate setting than in any other social media. So if it sounds good to you, you'll find the link in the chat shortly. And now I would like to remind you that you can make a dana offering in gratitude to Karla Jackson-Brewer for our time together today. And I hope you noticed the PayPal link I've already posted in the chat. And for those of you who may not be familiar, dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word that means generosity. And the practice of offering dana goes back to the time of the Buddha 2600 years ago and is fundamental to the Buddhist tradition. Dana directly recognizes the precious gift of the teacher and the teachings, without which one could not practice the Dharma. Thank you, everyone. May we meet again and again on the path, and may all beings benefit everywhere.
Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu